The Senate passed a really important measure yesterday. It relies on Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution, which allows the states to begin the process of amending the U.S. Constitution. Throughout our history, this has not really happened. It's been through congressional action, and maybe by us doing this, we'll get some congressional action, but really the states and the people cannot wait any longer to make sure that we begin balancing the books in the United States, just like all 50 states do. 49 states either have a state law or a state constitution requiring the states to balance the budgets, and it works. But our federal government has run up an over $15 trillion debt. And the danger of that is more than just about any other danger we see out there, particularly in the near future. So we've got to begin steering this ship in a different direction. We're heading towards complete financial catastrophe if we don't do something. And since Congress clearly won't do it, I mean, even with $15 trillion debt, they're not willing to balance the budget. The states have to take action. Through the call that we passed yesterday, we will hopefully become the 19th state. And once we get to 2/3 of the states calling for this amendment convention, we'll have the opportunity to pass an amendment to the U.S. Constitution mandating a balanced budget. Well, this is my 10th year in office, and we may be proceeding at the fastest rate that I've seen since I've been here. We're scheduled to be done with session before April, and that's good for a number of reasons, but especially for the taxpayers, because every day we're here it costs more money. This, of course, comes on the heels of a special session in which we did redistricting at the fastest pace that it was ever done that we're aware of in state history. So this General Assembly has really gotten down to business. We've taken the items we said we're going to work on. We've worked on those items. We've passed most of those items. Day 30 in the legislative calendar, which is not necessarily 30 days, but the 30th legislative day, means it's the final day that a Senate bill can pass the Senate and a House bill can pass the House. So if your bills didn't pass that you started with by the 30th legislative day, it's really too late. Now, you could perhaps find the place to put that legislation onto something else, but that's a very significant day. So from here on out, senators will be working on House measures, and House members will be working on Senate measures. It's a system that, while not perfect, is a lot better in Washington, D.C., where it just seems like the House passes something to the Senate, they ignore it, and the Senate passes something to the House, and they ignore it. We actually force each body to begin working with the other at a certain date, and so we've crossed that threshold. But the good news is we're proceeding at a rapid rate. We'll be out of here before April. That's good for the taxpayers, and that, of course, is good for the members of the legislature. Well, we have been talking about tax reform for a long, long time, and it is never easy because when you're in a balanced budget environment where you can't pass a tax reform and just not worry about the consequences of it, it makes it a lot more difficult. So we have to always try to match up what we're doing, and typically it means there's going to be winners and losers, and of course the losers are a lot more upset than the winners are happy, which makes tax reform very difficult. But what we're trying to do is move away from a reliance on the income tax and move towards a consumption tax. Because let's face it, the only people that pay income tax are honest Georgia citizens who file their tax returns. Consumption tax, everybody pays. The people that are honest, the people that are dishonest, the people that don't even live in our state but travel through our state. So we think it's fair to move towards a consumption tax. It's more transparent, it's flat, it's more easy to understand, and it's just simply more fair to everybody. So we're moving in that direction. And I think as we look at tax reform, what we're probably going to see is removing taxes on inputs, because if you're taxing an input into a production process, that really becomes a hidden tax. That may be the worst type of tax because you don't know it's there. It's just built into the product or service. And then we're also going to try to remove some of the penalties that we find in the income tax code, and again, move towards that consumption tax. This is a slow, very long process, but the citizens deserve it. It's a better way of collecting taxes, and it's something that we need to get done.